one of those mornings already. Hang on. All right, because when you're trying to send out a note about when things kick off, when for 8 years everything is kicked off at 9:05, and then your timetable wants to tell you at 9:15, which is not right. So the blast went out at 9:05. Sorry about 9:07. I'm trying to get ready for what we're doing here today, and what we're doing here today is stuff. John, hearing you there, thanks for coming in for a Thursday Thoughts. And hour number one, we're going to there ain't no what we're going to do is we're going to follow along and find out what the latest is going to be when it comes to the round of 32 in Open Cup. Last night, it was mostly chalk. I say mostly chalk. And so the draw is going to happen in about 7 minutes, and we're going to walk through it in hour number one, and we will we'll see what it looks like. But you saved. Oh, good evening, Bam. Welcome back. They always sit there and they talk about saving the best for last. Well, guess what? That's what happened. You ended up with the best for last, and it was late, and it's like it. You had a lot of stuff. You had a lot of stuff go to PKs last night, and if you were looking for Team Chaos, then it wasn't really chaotic just in results until you got to the end of the night. But it was a long night, and what we're going to do is at 9:15 when the draw pops out, then we'll walk through it with everybody. And so I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I'm going to kind of be cheating to my left as, we are kind of looking one direction. And so it's going to be and we'll find out what's going on in the round of 32. Open Cup is hour number one. Then in hour number two, it's the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. We'll find out where around the planet Nino Torres wants to go, our buddy from Gold TV. I imagine there's some Libertadores. I imagine that there is some Portugal. I imagine that there is some stuff going on in South America as we tour the planet. And then our buddy Nico Moreno is going to join us in the final half hour, and we're going to break down everything that is going on in MLS from the Pacific perspective. We'll get that to wrap up in the last half hour of the show. So hour number one is kind of a watch-along for Open Cup in the round of 32. Our friends over at Golazo Network, they're going to be doing it, and they're going to be walking everybody through what happened out of round three, getting you into the round of 32. We're going to be introducing some new teams in the round of 32, and so we'll find out what it looks like. So that's hour number one, plus news and everything else. Like Virgil van Dijk signed a new 2-year deal. That's out there. So Virgil van Dijk signs a deal. That's out there as well. Big activity tonight on the network. Maddie and Jason are heading to Chapel Harmon, and it's going to be Southeast Whitfield and Dalton on the network, 5:30, 7:30. And then that's late night. That's it's not quite after dark, and it might be a little GHSA after dark, but we'll see. Southeast Whitfield and Dalton tonight. Dalton lost to Sprayberry. It's their first blemish in the year. So getting everything ready for season 3, which starts next week. We'll have your coverage. We've got some ideas as to where we want to go next week, and we'll lay that all out for you. So you're looking at that this morning. You're looking at Open Cup. You're looking at news. But once again, on the network, 5:30, 7:30. SoccerDownHere.Mixlr.com, on the Mixlr app, MIXLR. And then you get to listen to everything that's going to go on with Southeast Whitfield and Dalton today. Tomorrow, we have the layout for the show. We'll try and find out, because I know that Greg is traveling the planet. So we'll find out if we get to talk about Michael Parkhurst and his Rhode Island FC as they continue to go through after an Open Cup after knocking off P-Hop, the Portland Hearts of Pine. We'll find out if either Mr. Parkhurst or Mr. Garza can join us at 9:30. 10 o'clock tomorrow, Kevin Egan's going to join us. So we get to find out what's going on in Kevin's world, find out about MLS 360, and then Jason should be joining us, say, 10:30 or so. And so we'll go through weekend whip around will be tomorrow. Kevin Egan joining us at 10, and it'll be Jason and everybody joining in and around 10:30 or so. and around the entire 2 hours tomorrow as we get you ready for the weekend in Major League Soccer. But the big news, Kevin Egan joining us at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So hour number one, watch along Open Cup. We'll find out about the round of 32. Hour number two, going around the planet with our buddy Nino Torres, and then going around Major League Soccer from the Pacific perspective with our buddy Nico Moreno. So that's today. Tomorrow, weekend whip around. Kevin Egan joining at 10. Jason and Maddie and the cast of thousands should be joining us around 10:30 or so. So that's the rundown. So morning Lookville, morning Abby, morning Bam. And what we'll do is we will work our way through as we are as we're kind of cheating and looking at the round of 32. We'll go over what happened last night, and it started in chaos and it ended in chaos. And if you voted for chaos and wanted to have chaos persevere, it happened at the end of the night, not the beginning of the night. So that's kind of where we are this morning. Obviously, we've got the news that's working our way through and all of it. Tomorrow's match, we do know what tomorrow's match is going to be. It is going to be Stars Mill and McIntosh at McIntosh. Maddie and I will be down there for that. It is the battle for the troops. They do some really cool stuff there on campus every single year. And so it's going to be a real treat for us to be down there to finish up our regular season broadcasts with Stars Mill and McIntosh tomorrow on the network. So that'll be down at McIntosh down in Peachtree City. And so we'll have that ready for you as well. So Southeast Whitfield, Dalton tonight, Stars Mill, McIntosh tomorrow. Those are the two broadcasts, once again, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. So that's where we are. Morning, Alex. All right. So yesterday in the World of Open Cup, it was somewhat chaotic and crazy and silly and off the rails. But that's the kind of stuff that we like. It was 8 matchups. We had 8 on Wednesday. It's the day of the week I'm looking for. So we had 8 on Wednesday, and you ended up with 8 on 8 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday. So late last night, last one on the board was Vegas and Chattanooga. Went to PKs. Chattanooga won 4-3 in PKs. So Red Wolves continue to advance. Red Wolves were one of the two sides that went from this half of the planet to the other half of the planet, or at least this half of the continent to the other half of the continent. Remember, part of the setup was that you couldn't play teams in your own divisions and certain parameters and things like that, which meant that you couldn't have Colorado Springs playing Vegas. So that meant that you had to bring in some folks, and that meant that you brought in Chattanooga Red Wolves, and that meant you bring in one Knox. So late last night was when the chaos got chaotic. Vegas and Chattanooga Red Wolves went 120 minutes. Chattanooga Red Wolves advanced 4-3 on PK. So Chattanooga gets their way through. And Bam, believe it or not, we talked about that yesterday with the hard cap, trying to navigate anywhere from 2.25 to 3, and then you have the one Larry Bird exception. We did talk about that a couple days ago. Sacramento beat El Fadelito 1-0. The Burrito Boys went down a goal. I want to say it was in the 20s. And at hard held, Sacramento got the one goal on the board. That's all they needed. Sacramento advanced. Then it was New Mexico and El Paso, and I'm sure that our buddy Duke Keith was beside himself. So you now have designated home teams here in Major League Soccer: Chicago, Philly, DC, Nashville, St. Louis, Austin, Dallas, and San Jose. Designated away teams. The Revs were part of it. And so you've got the new teams coming in and everybody who's left. So you have Tampa, Detroit, Indy 11, Phoenix Rising, Colorado Springs, El Paso, Rhode Island, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Charleston, Lou City, and Sacramento. That reminds me, I probably need to get something akin to a legal pad here as we go forward. So that is the draw. And then you also have Union Omaha, Chattanooga Red Wolves, AV Alta, and you have Tacoma Defiant. So 3 League Ones, 1 MLS Next Pro, 16 from MLS, and then the remainder from USL Championship. And so now the draw, breaking down, it's 2 minutes after commercial, so we'll see. So you have the round of 32 and the round of 16 draw rules. Teams advancing from round 3 are drawn against 16 MLS teams, divided into 8 groups based on geography. Each group has pre-designated home and away teams from Major League Soccer. random selection used to solve the lack of geological fit. 14 brackets, round of 32s, round of 16s, orders drawn to determine hosting priority for the round of 16. Team's ability to host can impact the placement in the draw. El Paso won last night 4-1 in penalties. Our buddy Duke Keith, I'm sure, is still probably celebrating. It took 120 minutes, but Colorado Springs beat One Knox 3-2. One Knox did finish the match. They only had a very, very short bench, and at one time you had a swap out that emptied the bench of the final 3 players. And so that was it was going to be a test for the 120 minutes. Angelo Kelly was injured at one point, and he was kind of less than 100%. So One Knox finished it shorthanded. Zaracostas ended up with a second yellow and a red card. So, like, for the final 3 minutes of the 120, One Knox was down a goal, and they were down a man. Colorado Springs advanced last night. Tulsa and Phoenix went to PKs. Phoenix Rising won 4-2 in penalties over FC Tulsa. Indy 11 1-0 over the Miami FC. Naples and Tampa. Tampa won 9-8 in penalties. The chaos was crazy, and you had a 17-year-old who went Panenka. And then Detroit beat Westchester 3. Detroit City beat Westchester 3-1 in one of the earlies, and that was the early kick at Keyworth and Hamtramck. And so once again, 8 groups in the U.S. Open schedule draw. And so we'll break it all down for you here. So like I said, I have my I've got my rundown here. And so you're looking at squads. We have B-roll being shown. And so you're looking at how things are with USL Championship. And we'll see how it all lays out here this morning when it comes to Open Cup. I feel like I need like some hold music or something. I really think that, I really feel like if there was some hold music, I'd be in good shape. I'd be in really good shape. So that's where we're at basically when it comes to the Open Cup in and of itself. The Kobe Jones group, Chicago, New England, Detroit City, and Rhode Island. And so that's your Kobe. And I see now, if I was Adrian Garcia Marquez, I'd say to American legend Kobe Jones. The American legend Kobe Jones group. And so it's the Revs and the Fire in the round of 32. I really do need hold music here. And Rhode Island FC. I'm going to go ahead and add a little volume here in the office. So Rhode Island is going to host New England. So New England travels to Rhode Island. So Michael Parkhurst gets a home match. And the winner of New England and Rhode Island is going to be the home team in the round of 16. So then Chicago obviously is going to be facing Detroit City. Third hosting priority order for Chicago. And then that means that once again, Detroit City. And so Detroit City is team number 4. Chicago, Detroit. Rhode Island, New England. And Cano Smith. So that's what you're staring at when it comes to this particular group. So the Kobe Jones, the American legend Kobe Jones group. That's going to be interesting. So New England at Rhode Island, and New England and Rhode Island once again picked first and second. So that means that first and second are a part of this as well. New England to Rhode Island, the winner of that one hosts the round of 16 match. And so then the other matchup in the Group 1 Kobe Jones group, Chicago and Detroit City. And that's what the layout is in there. So that is your the Kobe Jones group. And so that's what you're staring at. But yeah, once again, late in round number 5 last night, Vegas and Chattanooga. And it was a save at the end, which meant that Chattanooga Red Wolves continue to advance. Vegas eliminated, and we are now at group number 2. The Landon Donovan group, Philly, NYC as we're supposed to call them now, Indy, and Pittsburgh. So the Landon Donovan group is in that order. And Kefsi, I love Adrian Garcia Marquez. So NYC and Philadelphia, they've been split up in the Landon Donovan group. And so we're going to be having ball spinning here in a bit. And Kefsi, I don't know if you've had the chance to follow San Diego FC with Adrian now. It's Adrian and Warren Barton. They're doing radio for San Diego FC. First team drawn in the Landon Donovan group is Philly. So hosting priority goes to Philly. And if they win round of 32, they host the round of 16. So the next one, second seeding priority, Pittsburgh. So the Hounds. So Pittsburgh is going to host NYC because the teams in Major League Soccer were split up into homes and away. Indy 11, and Indy is going to Philly. So Pittsburgh and NYC. And so NYC picking fourth, they would have the fourth seeding priority. So if NYC wins, they would play away. They are the fourth team drawn in seeding priority. So Philly, Indy, and if Philly wins, they would host in the round of 16. So 2 groups in, New England, Rhode Island, Detroit City, and Chicago. That's where the Kobe Jones group was. And then Landon is the Landon Donovan group, Philadelphia, Indy, Pittsburgh, and NYC. And then once again, Pittsburgh and NYC. NYC was given fourth hosting priority. So if they win, they go on the road. So that's where you're staring at right now when it comes to the Dempsey group. It is now number 3, the Dempsey group. DC United, DC, Charlotte, Charleston, and North Carolina. So Charleston and North Carolina. So DC, Charlotte, Charleston, and North Carolina FC. The top team pulled out of the Dempsey group is North Carolina. So North Carolina will play Charlotte FC and host in Cary. And so that means, obviously, that DC and Charleston are going to play. Charleston Battery draws the second. So Charleston travels to DC, but they're second in the hosting priority. And so if Charleston beats DC, and DC is the third pick in the hosting order. So if Charleston wins, they host. And then North Carolina FC, hosting priority once again, North Carolina FC, Charleston, DC, Charlotte. That's the 4 in the Dempsey group. North Carolina hosting Charlotte, DC hosting Charleston. The hosting priority in this group goes North Carolina FC Charleston Battery. So if North Carolina FC hosts Charlotte, they host. And if Charleston beats DC, they host. So the two USL Championship sides, they have hosting priority in the Dempsey group. So that's what you're staring at with 3 groups down and 5 groups to go. Rhode Island, New England, Chicago, Detroit, Donovan Group, Pittsburgh, the Hounds, and NYC and Philadelphia Union and Indy 11. Philadelphia wins, they host in that group. So once again, in the Dempsey group, DC, Charlotte, Charleston, NY, and North Carolina FC. North Carolina FC is going to host Charlotte, and they're first in the hosting priority. Charleston second in the hosting priority. So you've got North Carolina FC and Charleston. If they win, they host. Well, if they win, the North Carolina FC hosts, since they have the top hosting priority in the Dempsey group. So that's everything leaning toward Cary, North Carolina, and my Dean Linke drop of, hey, how about North Carolina FC? Morning Sharif. It is that time where we're talking about Open Cup, and it is the Open Cup wander through where you're looking at 3 groups down, 5 groups to go to lay it all out for you. And once again, this has to do, they're trying to make things as geographically desirable as possible. Your GD, geographically desirable. You're not GU, geographically undesirable. And so now, going for group number 4, it's going to be see, now this is when you're filibustering and you're trying to get everything squared away when it comes to all of your draws. Now, the Aegis group has Nashville, Orlando City, Chattanooga, and it's a preset draw with Tampa Bay and Orlando and Nashville and Chattanooga. So we get to the hosting priority in the Chattanooga Red Wolves. So Chattanooga does not have a venue available, so they get skipped over. And so for some reason, unknown to us, Chattanooga, whether it was because the venue was already booked or for just other reasons, the venue, CHI Memorial, is not available. And so Orlando City, who is playing Tampa, if they beat Tampa, Orlando City would get priority in hosting. Chattanooga was drawn first. They do not have a venue available. And then Tampa goes second, and Nashville is third. And since Chattanooga bypassed, Tampa, Orlando, Nashville, and Chattanooga. Orlando City gets your hosting priority. So it's Orlando City, Tampa, Nashville, Chattanooga. Chattanooga was drawn first, but once again, they don't have a venue available. So they've deferred the idea of hosting in either 32 or 16 should they continue to work forward. So Chattanooga will go to Nashville, and then that goes to Geodis, I would imagine, unless they have another venue in mind. But I imagine that Chattanooga is going to go to Geodis. Then Tampa to Orlando City. And so if Orlando City wins, technically the winner of Orlando City and Tampa is going to be the one to host in the round of 16. But in hosting order, once again, Chattanooga was drawn first. They've declined or deferred. They just declined the idea of hosting in the round of 32 or the round of 16. So they've dropped to number 4. Second team drawn was Orlando City. So Orlando City, who is playing Tampa, winner of that one gets to host in the round of 16, and then it would have fallen to Nashville. Nashville was drawn third. Chattanooga drops to 4. So that's your rundown of that group. So let's recap where we are as the world goes to commercial. So Group 1, all the groups anyway. So all the groups as we know them: Rhode Island, New England, Chicago, Detroit. That's the East half. That is the American legend Kobe Jones group. Landon Donovan group. Philly, NYC, Indy, and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and NYC. Philadelphia, if they win against Indy 11, they would host in the round of 16. Dempsey group. DC, Charlotte, Charleston, NYC. And in the Dempsey group, the USL Championship side stepped up and were like, yeah, okay, everything's cool. We got it. We're there. It's all good. So North Carolina FC hosting Charlotte, and it is then Charleston is playing DC United. Hosting order in the round of 16 goes North Carolina FC, then it goes to the Charleston Battery. So if Charleston was to beat DC, then they would be second. They're second in line. North Carolina FC beats Charlotte. They're first in line. Everything will funnel through Cary in that group. So that's where we are there. And then the Aegis group, once again, Nashville, Orlando, Chattanooga, and Tampa. And in that, it is, once again, because of Chattanooga deferring and not having a venue available or just declining the idea of hosting, then it was Orlando City drawing second, but in reality, they're first. So if Orlando City beats Tampa Bay, technically the winner of that one is going to be hosting the round of 16 matchup among Nashville, Orlando City, Chattanooga, and Tampa. Orlando City plays Tampa. Nashville plays Chattanooga. Chattanooga does not want to host, so they are going up to Nashville to play at Geodis. And that's 4 groups down, and that's where we are halfway through. And as we're rolling through, yeah, Abby, it does. I mean, but I think if you're looking at it, Abby says it sucks for Chattanooga. It does. What it does do, however, is it probably guarantees you, I don't know what the gate percentages are, but it probably does guarantee the possibility of a larger gate available to you at Geodis. But like I said, I also don't know if CHI was booked for, say, Chattanooga, Tennessee State playoffs or anything like that. But regardless of the reason, Chattanooga basically said, no, we're good. So they're going to Geodis, and it is going to be the winner of Orlando City and Tampa. That is going to be the decider for who is going to get number one priority in the round of 16 out of the Jeff Agus group. And so that's halfway through. That lays everything out in Open Cup so far. And what they wanted to do is they wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity in this particular go round, that you wanted to have the opportunity to win the draw, get the draw, host the draw, all those kinds of things. And so that's where that's where we are. And they're trying to do it with geography this time, so it would not completely and totally out of the realm of possibility that you're not having to travel from one end of the planet to the other. Group number 5, the DeMarcus Beasley group. And this is where we get one of our first influences from outside USL Championship. The DMB group has all caps, Minnesota United, Loose City, and the Murder Owls, Union Omaha. Minnesota United, St. Louis City. So let's see what the draw order is for these particular 4 teams. Now, once again, draw priority means that you're in the top slot to host in the round of 16 if your team advances. Minnesota United gets the number 1 first hosting priority in their particular group here in the DMB group. May 6 and 7, by the way, these matchups. Hosting priority number 2 goes to Loose City. That'll be fun. Loose City will host Minnesota United in the round of 32. So basically, the winner of that one gets to host the round of 16 matchup. And so St. Louis City, Union Omaha is your 3. And they're going to play at St. Louis City. St. Louis City is your number 4. So, Minnesota United and Loose City. Loose City, now keep an eye on Minnesota. Keep an eye on Loose City here. Loose City at Lynn Family, traditionally tough. We know this. May 6 and 7 is when these matchups are. I'm going to check Minnesota United's schedule real quick. And so Minnesota United travels to Lynn Family to take on, it's the Loons in Loose City. So you got that. Then you have Union Omaha traveling to St. Louis. Union Omaha, though, if they end up with a cup set, they would work their way through into the round of 16. And then they would have to travel to either Loose City or to Allianz. Now, right now, looking at the schedule for Minnesota United, like I said, I'm measuring cup set ability here. So in May 6 and 7, so on the 3rd, Minnesota is at Austin. Then in the midweek, they have to, fly home. Then they have to travel to Loose City in the midweek for a round of 32 Open Cup game. Then they have to go home to take on Messi and friends. The Boca group. Brackets preset. El Paso did not apply to host. And so the matchups, Houston goes to Phoenix. Houston to Phoenix. And El Paso to Austin. And so your host priority, once again, El Paso would drop to number 4, regardless of when they're drawn. They drop to number 4. So El Paso's drawn first, but because they didn't apply for it, they would drop to 4. Now, Number 2 in the hosting order in the Boca Negra group. Phoenix Rising. So Phoenix Rising hosting at the corner of 38th and Washington, the Houston Dynamo in the round of 32. Then they would get hosting priority over the matchup involving Austin and El Paso. Austin would be your number 2, even though they were drawn third. And then Houston is number 3 in that order. So, once again, same situation like we had in the Chattanooga group. So you had El Paso decline. And so El Paso declined. They were drawn first. Doesn't matter. El Paso drops to number 4 in the priority order. But you have Phoenix, who was drawn second. Now you've got Phoenix Phoenix is now number 1, even though they were drawn second. Austin's number 2. Houston's number 3, and El Paso is last. So that's where we are in these matchups here in the Boca Negra group. Phoenix hosting Houston. El Paso goes to Austin. Now, so if Houston goes to the corner of 38th and Washington, they would still travel to Q2 for a Copa Tejas round of 16 in the Boca group to get into the round of 8. There will be a test on this later on, by the way. So that's where you end up with the first 4 groups. Once again, first 4 groups: Rhode Island, New England, Chicago, Detroit, Landon Donovan group, Pittsburgh, NYC, Philly, Indy. Philly is the top draw, priority draw. They win, they host to get out of the Landon Donovan group. Dempsey group: DC, Charleston, Charlotte, North Carolina FC. The 2 USL championship teams have the drawing priority slots. Everything funnels through Cary, North Carolina in the Dempsey group. If North Carolina FC was to win, they would host the round of 16. Charleston is second. So if Charlotte beats North Carolina FC in the matchup in the round of 32 in the Dempsey group, and if Charleston was to beat DC, it would go to Patriots Point. So that's where we are in the Dempsey group. Aga's group: Chattanooga declined to host, so that drops them to number 4 in the qualifying order. They go to Geodis to take on Nashville. So then then it was Orlando City and Tampa Bay. If Orlando City beats Tampa Bay, Orlando City hosts out of that group. DeMarcus Beasley group: Union Omaha goes to St. Louis. Minnesota goes to Lynn Family. Minnesota United has the number 1 draw priority, so everything would funnel through Allianz if they won. Boca Negra group: El Paso, like we saw with Chattanooga, declined. So they dropped to number 4 regardless of when their magic ball is pulled out of the bowl, and it was pulled out first, but they dropped to number 4. Phoenix hosting Houston at 38th and Washington. Houston's number 3 in the drawing order. El Paso travels to Q2, and you know that place is going to be loud. The Caligiuri group, if I could spell Caligiuri: FC Dallas Red Bulls, AV Alta Switchbacks. So FCD, Red Bulls, they're going to be hot. AV Alta and Switchbacks. Red Bulls will travel. And the first team pulled is Red Bulls. Red Bulls get first priority hosting order. So NYC, remember, NYC got to stay. in theirs, and then Red Bulls end up with the short straw. FCD is second in hosting order. And so now you have AV Alta and Switchbacks as your 3 and your 4. And so now 2 teams left in the Caligari. Switchbacks are third. So Switchbacks host Red Bulls. AV Alta will go to Dallas. And so AV Alta, one of your cup sets in day number 1. Red Bulls go to Switchbacks. AV Alta to FC Dallas. Red Bulls, if they win at Widener Field in beautiful downtown Colorado Springs, they would host the round of a 16 matchup. And it was a late night for Colorado Springs, and so it was that one's going to be interesting. And so now we're down to the final 4 of the final 4 sides and the final group here for Open Cup. But once again, Agus group, just to recap. Agus group was group number 4. Chattanooga declined. So that means they dropped to number 4 in the hosting order. So then that means that Nashville and Chattanooga goes to Nashville, Orlando City and Tampa. Orlando City was drawn second, but once again, Chattanooga declines. Orlando City gets to host. They have number 1 priority. If they win against Tampa, everything funnels through Orlando. So everything in a perfect world funnels through Orlando in the Agus. Everything funnels through Cary, North Carolina in the Dempsey. Everything funnels through Philly in the Landon Donovan group. And then, if I remember correctly, in the Kobe group, that means that everything funnels through Rhode Island. Casey Keller group, your last 4, San Jose, Portland, Sacramento, and Tacoma. So Portland will travel. And so now let's check hosting order in the final group. First pull in Group 8, Tacoma. Tacoma hosting Portland and first hosting priority. Everything funnels through Starfire. Team number 2 in hosting priority, Sacramento. So the Keller group could have chaos written all over it. Sacramento, though, has to go through San Jose. So Sacramento to San Jose, Portland to Starfire. And so let's find out who the 3 and the 4 are when it comes to hosting priorities. 2 teams are left here, and it's going to be San Jose with 3rd. So PayPal Park has the 3rd hosting priority. So then obviously it's going to be Portland Timbers number 4 with your hosting order. Portland to Starfire to take on Tacoma Defiance, Sacramento to San Jose to take on the Earthquakes, and everything funnels through Tacoma. That's your chaos that's the group of chaos, possibly. Because I would say you have you have a couple of groups of chaos that could be possible here. Because of the priorities that were laid out when it comes to the draft and the pecking order of whom is where. So that's your layout. Kobe Jones group, everything funnels. New England and Rhode Island, Chicago, Detroit City. Detroit City was 4th. And so you're looking at New England, Rhode Island, Chicago, and Detroit City. Detroit City would be 4th in the round of 16. Landon Donovan Group, Philadelphia, NYC, Indy, and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh plays NYC, Philadelphia, and Indy 11. Philadelphia wins. Everything goes through Chester. Dempsey Group, everything goes through Cary, North Carolina, DC and Charleston, Charlotte, and North Carolina FC. Agus Group, once again, Chattanooga declined, so they dropped to 4 in the hosting order, and then they go to Nashville to take on go to Geodis to take on Nashville. Orlando City and Tampa, and the winner of that one gets your hosting priority in the Agus Group. So everything in that group, Nashville, Orlando City, Chattanooga, Tampa, funnels through Orlando City. Midwest and West, St. Louis in the DMB group. St. Louis, Manchester. Wow. Minnesota United, Lou City, Union Omaha. Minnesota United is a designated home side in this tournament through Open Cup. So Minnesota United and Lou City. Winner of that one would host the round of 16. Minnesota United drew number 1, Lou City drew number 2. Union Omaha travels to All Caps and Energizer Park, but they would be the number 3. And St. Louis is your number 4. So basically, the winner of Minnesota United, Lou City is going to host, and everything funnels through either Allianz or Lynn Family. Boca Negra Group. El Paso declined. So the group itself, Austin, Houston, El Paso, and Phoenix. Houston travels to Phoenix. El Paso travels to Austin. Phoenix drew the number 1 straw, so everything funnels through 38th and Washington if they beat Houston Dynamo. Austin is your number 2. They host El Paso Locomotive. I would not anticipate a whole lot of goals coming from Wilmer Cabrera's bunch in that one, although they did score 4 in the previous round. Caligiuri Group. FC Dallas Red Bulls, AV Alta Switchbacks. Red Bulls were the geographic anomaly. NYC got to stay in the east. Red Bulls drew the short straw. They travel to Colorado Springs on either May 6 or 7. So Red Bulls at Switchbacks, AV Alta at FC Dallas. Everything funnels through Harrison, New Jersey. Red Bulls were chosen or pulled out of the bowl to have the number 1 priority. Then in the Keller Group, the group of chaos, San Jose, Portland, Sacramento, Tacoma, Portland to Tacoma, Sacramento to San Jose, and everything funnels through Starfire. So that is your rundown of the round of 32 in U.S. Open Cup. May the chaos begin May 6 and 7. That's where we are. That is where we're laying out. Kefsey, I agree. Tampa, Kefsey thinks Orlando's too strong for Tampa. I agree. Orlando, Tampa's going through a coaching change. They did get Forrest Lasso back at the back line. That did help, but they struggled with Naples last night. For those of you that had the chance to watch it, they did struggle with Naples. Pritatica Oficial, welcome. Don't be a stranger. Please explain MLS rules. Is it like NBA? Is there a first and a second division, for example? There is no, in professional soccer in the United States right now, there is no promotion relegation. Major League Soccer is first division, and it's locked in place. It is one group. You have another group, the USL, and they are trying to institute a promotion relegation situation. They have separate leagues, and they plan on starting a new first division league. So think of it as like 2 different lanes of traffic. And first off, thanks for coming by. Major League Soccer, first division, they're their own thing. They're over here, and they have no promotion relegation. They do, however, have a second division league, but it is mainly meant for development of talent and having independent owners invest, but not at the levels that you would for Major League Soccer. USL is in an entirely different lane of traffic. What they do is they have 2 leagues right now for development, but they are planning to add a first division league. So right now they have second division, third division. So it would be like Serie B, Serie C. And they're planning on adding a Serie A, and then they would institute promotion and relegation. USL would. So you would have USL First Division, USL Championship, USL League One. Currently, USL Championship, USL League One are playing, but they are not playing each other except in cup competitions. So you add that new league coming in, slated for a couple of years from now. Then you would have First Division, Championship, USL League One. You would have then Serie A, Serie B, Serie C. And then you would have promotion relegation among these three in USL. MLS does not. MLS, First Division, Second Division, they have their own. And then there's no blending over here. USL is looking to add a First Division. So they would add a Serie A in a couple of years. And then they would have promotion and relegation with USL Championship and USL League One in a couple of years' time. So, Pritatika, I hope that helps. I hope that helps when it comes to the breakdown of things. You have two separate organizations. One is in First Division, but they have a Second Division, but they don't do promotion relegation. USL has Second Division. They have Serie B, Serie C. They're looking to add Serie A, and then they'll have promotion relegation in a couple of years if they satisfy the rules to have a First Division league. Number of clubs, market size, those kinds of things. You got to have big cities, or you've got to have the promise of big cities, and you have to have venues that are a certain size as well. So MLS on one side, USL on the other side. MLS has First Division, Second Division. They don't play each other except in tournaments like Open Cup, like we're talking about this morning. Then USL, they have two currently, Serie B, Serie C. They're looking to add a Serie A couple of years, and then they'll have promotion relegation, Serie A, Serie B, Serie C. So that's where it is, Pritatika. I hope that helps. And thanks for coming by. Do not be a stranger. Let's see. Yeah, Chris, welcome, Chris Wary. Glad you're here. We did talk about Aaron Bupenza, and that was our lead this morning. And we do know that the Chinese police are investigating one of three particular options. Aaron Bupenza falling from his 11th story apartment and passed away at the age of 28. Statement coming out from FC Cincinnati yesterday as well, but it's currently under investigation, and we don't know of any advancement in the investigation from that particular point. We do know it happened. It broke before the show yesterday, and that's where we were with Aaron Bupenza, and his brother apparently was in the apartment with him at the time. And so they're investigating and trying to figure out, okay, what exactly did happen. So that is that was the Aaron Bupenza story from yesterday, and that's your Open Cup up. That's your Open Cup date. We now know the round of 32, and we now know the odd elements that could be going on. But yeah, the group in Starfire. We'll talk to Nico Moreno coming up in about a half hour. We'll find out about what his thoughts are on that. Everything else going on in Major League Soccer. Waiting on our buddy Nino Torres and find out what's on Nino's mind as we tour the planet. I haven't seen what he wants to talk about. We never do. And so that way we can have fully loaded with our buddy Nino coming up here in just a little bit. Morning, Sharif. It's been too long. And welcome back. Kefsi, I enjoy Adrian and Kobe when they do television together. I enjoy Adrian, and just literally stumbled across him. I knew he was the new voice of San Diego FC, and he and Warren Barton. I caught them on a late game coming home on Sirius XM FC a little bit ago. So, but yeah, great pickup for San Diego to have Adrian Garcia Marquez. And when I can go back and forth with Adrian about like Neil Peart from Rush and talk about great drummers and musicians and things like that on Twitter, that's always a fun conversation. So that's where we are. So let's see. Morning, Bam. Morning, Abby. Morning, Lokeville. Morning, Alex. Morning, Four Card. Let's see. So morning, KFC. Morning, Sharif. And like I said, welcome, Chris. And welcome, Pritatika. Like I said, I hope that helped. NCAA is making changes, Abby says, to stop faking injuries. Story from the 4-letter. Rule changes. Good luck enforcing it. Heather Dinich Playing rules oversight panel approved changes to the injury timeout rules. Under the new rule approved, medical personnel enter the field to evaluate after the ball is spotted by the officiating crew for the next play. That player's team charged a timeout. If the team doesn't have any timeouts remaining, a 5-yard delay of game penalty will be assessed. Proposal to adjust the injury timeout rule resulted from teams faking injuries to stop their opponent's momentum or using an allotted timeout. So that's and apparently UCLA is among the schools eyeing Niko Ayamaliaba. Good luck. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because then you might end up with a father who is somewhat engaged into the desires of the family and trying to find out what best economics are there for him. Dude, you had an $8 million deal in Knoxville, and you decide that ain't it. You want to renegotiate. You signed a deal. I feel like I'm doing the review now for over at OSG Sports. You signed a deal, and then you want to renegotiate the deal. I'm with Josh Heupel in this case. Nope, you're good. Bye. You signed a deal. You want to You want to renegotiate? Nope. You signed a deal, and so the Ayamaliavas are trying to. I saw that Tulane was one of the destinations. What are they going to come up with? $8 million. It's going to be less money now. UCLA is apparently one of the names, and this came from Chris Lowe yesterday. And yeah, UCLA in talks with Niko Ayamaliava for less money. Well, duh. UCLA source told Lowe might be worked out. He wanted at least $4 million from Tennessee, and that was what UCLA was prepared to offer. And what UCLA was prepared to offer wasn't remotely close. Ayamaliava was earning 2.4 at Tennessee under the collective when he was still in high school. He signed the contract in high school. Would have paid him in the 2.4 times 4, 9.6. It would have been in the neighborhood of $10 million. Would have been in the neighborhood of $10 million if you'd stayed for 4 years. 12 if you'd stayed for 5. But no, we're good. No, missed practice. Didn't say why. Josh Heupel on the quote. No one bigger than the Power T, and that includes me. Asked to redo the deal just before the close of the winter portal after the loss to Ohio State. Deal was unchanged. Ayamaliava did not enter the portal. His father also wanted Tennessee to surround his son with better receivers and a more effective offensive line and pass protection. Sure. Okay. Yeah, whatever you say. So you got that. So that's where you at. All right. So that's what you're staring at this morning. Yikes. People. Yikes. Nothing like a little college football down here. By the way, subtle plug. For those of you who are hanging out and like you get your college football fix over at the OSG Sports side of things, we have the review. We go through college basketball season. We're probably going to be doing some one-offs when it comes to college football because of everything going on, like what happened in Knoxville. So we'll see what happens. But go to OSG Sports, go to the review. You can listen to all of our back episodes where we talk about everything the week that was and get you ready for the week that will be. We always believe in also the idea of football on a budget. We also do basketball on a budget where during the season we'll sit there and it's like, okay, if you're anywhere close to a game and it's a couple of bucks, I think we try to set $9 as a ticket limit in football and basketball season. So if you're interested in doing any of that, then what you can do is listen to us in our college football side of things. So there you go. All right, let's roll through. Like I said, we are in a holding pattern waiting for our buddy Nino Torres, and it will be touring the planet with Nino and getting you ready for everything else that's going on there. Also on the board, once again, bottom of the hour, last half hour of the show, we'll catch you up with Nico Moreno and our friends from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. We'll talk about the group of chaos from the activity that transpired in hour number one with the Open Cup draw round of 32. And we know that there's some other news to get into as well here on the morning show. Once again, reminders. If you missed it in hour number one, Southeast Whitfield and Dalton tonight on the network, 5:30, 7:30 from Chapel Harmon. And Maddie and Jason will be there for that. That'll be a fun one. It's a great rivalry up there in Northwest Georgia. Tomorrow, Maddie and I will be at the Battle for the Troops, Starsmill and McIntosh. And we'll catch you up with that one as well. That one's going to be a fun one. It's always great to see our friends down at McIntosh. Started the regular season early with them in the matchup against Dalton, finishing the regular season with them going up against Starsmill. And it will be it'll be from pillar to post, and playoffs start next week, and we will let you know what's going on with our playoff coverage. We'll see if we can be in more than one place at a time. We'll let you know, and we have a couple of games scouted out already. If it falls into place, then we'll let you know what's going on with our rundown and everything that is there involving the high school game presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Soccer's in session. It'll be during the playoffs. It'll be shorter. It'll be at noon, more than one day a week, and it won't be the full hour each time. But we'll go through all the brackets and all the matchups and things like that. But looking to try and do it as many days as possible during the week. During the playoffs, try to have as many coaches on during the playoffs as we can. But we won't go the full hour, I don't anticipate, unless traffic dictates that we do. So that's where we are. All right, let me cut the promos while I'm thinking about it. All right. Our friends from the Marshall Islands, they've done it again, and it's insane what they're piecing together. And what we'll do is we'll talk about the Kickstarter campaign as well. But they have now added the jerseys for the local clubs that are a part of the federation. They have a Team Majuro designed by Island Culture. It's a Marshallese own brand, and it was worn during the Inter-Island Soccer Tournament. So you can get either your Team Majuro jersey, you can get your Team Kwajalein jersey, or you can get your Team Ebe jersey. You can buy all three, which is probably what I'm going to do. So they're now adding jerseys from the intra-island competitions that they've been having in the past as they continue to grow the game. So now you can go once again to you can go to the Marshall Islands shop and you can grab the individual teams now that were on the island as they were. You can go here and you can grab all the gear. Seriously, you can grab all the gear, but there's one thing. You'll notice on this website that Maddie is modeling the scarf. And so Maddie's modeling the scarf that was a matchup design between us and the Federation. So once again, proceeds go to help out, just keeping the lights on and making sure that they got all their bills, get all the bills paid. But you buy the jerseys, you get all the other things, the bucket hats, the Marshall Islands individual team gear. You can get that, and it gets shipped from London. You get the scarf, it gets shipped from me. And so what you do is when you buy stuff here at the store, then I get an alert from the guys in London. They're like, hey, somebody in the United States wants a scarf, and then I ship you the scarf. I've got less than 10, then I have to reorder. And that's never a bad thing when you have to reorder scarves to figure out, okay, who wants to continue to show support, he said 10 times fast. You can show support for the Marshall Islands Project. So they have a Kickstarter campaign up. And the Kickstarter campaign is to help fund the first ever Outrigger Challenge Cup that is set for Northwest Arkansas in the middle of August. And this is stage 2 of this. If it is something that you're inclined, then what I would recommend is being a part of the Kickstarter campaign. That's an all or nothing. So it's either going to happen when they meet their mark, or they're not. And so they have about a month, because then you've got to get into logistics and visas and passports and all this kind of stuff to get folks coming from Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Turks and Caicos, and the Marshall Islands. And it's going to be at John Brown University in Northwest Arkansas if they can meet their Kickstarter goal. They're about a third of the way through. They're over a third of the way through. They're just over $8,000, and they're chasing after $26,430. So that is where they are. It's a month out, and it's an all or nothing thing. All or nothing. May the 18th, and it's only going to be funded if they reach that goal of $26,430. So that's where they are right now in this Kickstarter campaign, and so that's where this campaign is. And like I said, if you are so inclined, then you can be a part of the future there with the Marshall Islands and their first ever tournament as an 11v11 side. So you can do that and help them out. And very, very cool that and yeah, we'll probably be there. The boss has already said, look, so are we going? I said, yeah, we're probably going. So we'll be there in Arkansas for this in mid-August, and spread the word too. You can also, if you've partaken in the Kickstarter campaign, then spread the word. That's the best thing that you can do right now with 30 days to go. They still have 2/3 of the money that they still have to come together to try to piece together to make this happen. So spread the word on social media. If it's something that you yourself would be inclined to participate in, that'd be great. And like I said, we try in our small way to help things out and try to grow the game as best we can. And this is part of our keeping an eye on the soccer for good. And so that's what we're doing with this particular Kickstarter project. So you want to buy the gear, you want to buy the scarves. They've got the new jerseys up. I DM'd them and I said, that's not fair. And they're like, what? I said, it's not fair when you keep releasing new gear because I'm going to end up buying it. I'm running out of coat hangers. Here at the Casa. And so they got a laugh out of that. And so sometime probably soon, next couple of weeks in the home stretch, we'll probably try and have technical director Lloyd Hours, director of marketing communications Matt Webb, or some combination of the two of them on the show to discuss where things stand and have that big push as a part of everything. So the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation Kickstarter campaign, it's on Kickstarter right here. You can get all the info there and spread the word because it's a month out before they hit the end of the number and try to get into the campaign and be in Arkansas for the Outrigger Challenge Cup. The games themselves, I think, are the 14th and the 16th of August, but obviously they want to try and have a big gathering there for that in that second week of August. All right, other stuff. Once again, Grady Baby Co. You can help out there. And the soccer, part of our Soccer for Good campaign here in 25, you can get the Grady Baby Co. Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta sweatshirt and T-shirt. It's either in red or black, gold embossed. Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta. SDH logo on one cuff and the Grady Baby logo on the other cuff. And you get to help out middle school soccer programs that are tied to the Atlanta public school system. That's where the proceeds go with that as a part of our Soccer for Good. Also, we'll talk about the Fanaticos campaign here in a sec. You can also go to Olive and York, and you can get your jerseys for SDH. Once again, thanks to our friends Kaiser Permanente across the front. You can get the Navy jersey, floppy collar. You can either get the white personalization or the Carolina blue personalization. I'm saying that as an ACC person. I know that some folks will sit there and go, it's light blue, sky blue, or whatever. It's not Carolina blue. It's just a lighter blue. So Navy jersey, white letters and numerals, light blue letters and numerals. You have your choice. Go to Olive and York, and once again, that helps out all of our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. I'm trying to think, what else have I missed? Go to soccerdownhere.net. You can go to our store. You can get our gear. This is retro. This is fitted forever since we came online. That shows you how old this sweatshirt is, and it's still hanging in there. So I give it full and total credit about all of the SDH gear. You can get the new logo and the new gear at soccerdownhere.net. You can go into the shop section, and you can get all the things. You can get your mugs, your sweatshirts. Jason has taken a couple of the old franchises here in the Atlanta area, and he has retrofitted the logos and all that stuff to you can get. I think it's the Attack and the Ruckus. I think those are the two teams that Jason has retrofitted, and you can get that gear at soccerdownhere.net. Be a Fanatico, and once again, $10 a year. What do you do for $10 a year? Well, I'll tell you. You can really gain some serious discounts when it comes to anything and everything going on here in our campaigns. And so I want to get the wording correct, because at $10 a year, you can become a Fanatico and you get a bunch of discounts all over Atlanta: breweries, pubs, soccer retail stores, hotels, comedy theaters, and the Chateau Arenal Resort in Costa Rica. I'm not kidding. You can get a good discount there as well. Exclusive access to our group on the Chant app. Let me see if I can get the Chant app. And where's my Chant app? There's my Chant app. Okay, so here is how it looks when you become a Fanatico. Right there. You get into the Chant app, and I'll try not to shine it in the light. But yeah, you get into the Chant app right there with all the discounts, all the places, and you get to get in all of those really cool places at discounts. A lot of breweries, a couple of eateries if you're a Fanatico, and you get discounts off like Tires Plus and Alpharetta is a part of it too. So I mean, it's great to be a Fanatico. You get to hang out on the Chant app. You get to find out about, and you get to have conversations with all the rest of us, and you get to be active in the process there at the SDH when you become a Fanatico on the Chant app. Once again, $10 a year. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here/join. Did I do it right? I think I did. Wow, I did it without the extra period. Group.chant.fan/soccer down here/join. So group.chant.fan/soccer down here/join. You get to become a Fanatico. $10 a year. You get a lot of discounts. A lot of discounts. I'm serious. I mean, let me run through them real quick just to give you in the partners. All right. So once again, here's who's online with us. Brass Tap in Marietta, the Moxie Hotel Food and Beverage discount. South Main Brewing in Watkinsville, Schoolhouse in Marietta, Hard Cider. It is Marietta. Elixir Brewing, Buford and Monroe, Round Trip, Marietta, Social Fox, Norcross. Keys to Flavor Catering. First shot there. Fado's off Food Tab. O'Sullivan's Beers, 10% off the food and off of the merch. Lloyd's, 20% off select Atlanta United gear. Finished Goods and Winder, Slow Pour in Lawrenceville, Outrun in Stone Mountain, Tires Plus in Alpharetta, Dad's Garage downtown, Chateau Arenal, that's the one I was telling you about in Costa Rica, Battle and Brew, Sandy Springs in the Battery, Wild Leap in Atlanta downtown, and there are more folks that are joining to be a part of the activities. And so Niko's at the beach. Okay, so send photos and use sunscreen. So, all right. So Nino's at the beach. He just woke up. Attaboy. He just woke up. That's fantastic. All right. So Nino's at the beach. Nino will be back with us next week. So Niko Moreno joining us in about 15 minutes. So there you go. Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. We'll go over gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it coming up in a bit. So, all right. So Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here helps them out, helps us out, helps you out. Chant app, becoming a Fanatico. Marshall Islands Project, Olive and York Project, Soccer Down Here Project. And don't forget also where SDH is concerned, don't forget to add the Mixlr app to all of your stuff, because then when you know that we have a live event right here, this is what the Mixlr app looks like when it's like, there it is. Okay, so yeah, Kennesaw Mountain and Laster, last matchups that we had. Soccer Down Here, you follow it. Let me try to, There we go. So you follow SDH, and then when there's a live event that's either on SDH or SDH2, you get an email notification that it does exist, and then you can log in there, and then you can lay it all out, and you can add that to your stacks as well. So I think that's all the stuff that is part of the promotions campaign here. And well, once again, Fanaticos group.chant.fan/soccer down here /join. I'll leave that up. Like I said, we'll talk about the group of chaos in Open Cup with Nico Moreno coming up in just a bit. Remember, Europa League is today. Virgil van Dijk signed a new deal with Liverpool. It's a 2, like it was with Salah as a 2. So not necessarily a big shock. Newcastle knocked off Crystal Palace yesterday. Alex, well done, 5-0. Of course, what did I do? I started Crystal Palace on defense. That was a bad idea. So Newcastle scored 5 yesterday in their win over Crystal Palace. Isak, Cher, Barnes, Gahey own goal, and Murphy. So it was Murphy in the 14th, Gahey an own goal in the 38th, Harvey Barnes at 45 plus 2, Fabian Cher 45 plus 8. So this was over at the half at 4, and then Isak scored in the 58th. And Jason Tyndall got the Duke. So there you go with that. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. I feel like I need to scoot up my chair because I feel like my arms are at full extension this morning. And it's good to have everybody along for the watch along, the sharing of information involving Open Cups round of 32. So that's a fun one, and the matchups that are involving teams. I mean, Chattanooga Red Wolves, by the way, making their way past Chattanooga FC, traveling to Cashman, knocking off Vegas Lights. That's a good run to get to the round of 32. All right. Moises Caicedo targeted by Al Nassr, expected to cost more than £100 million. Manchester United have identified RB Leipzig's forward Xavi Simon as a summer target. Ruben Amorim's transfer plans are likely to hinge on whether they qualify for Champions League or not. Juve have made Sandro Tonali one of their summer transfer targets. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. RB Leipzig are expected to set an £86 million price tag for Benjamin Sesko, who's attracting interest from United, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Spurs are going to rebuff offers, according to the BBC. That's a BBC word. They're going to rebuff. They're going to rebuff offers for Destiny Udogie, despite links with several clubs, including Manchester City. That comes from Florian Plettenberg at Sky Sports Germany. Sporting open to summer offers for Gonzalo Inacio, who is of interest to Manchester United. Benfica, keen to re-sign Chelsea's 25-year-old Portuguese forward Joao Felix, who is on loan at AC Milan. And now here's the update of updates. So Kevin De Bruyne, we talked about KDB yesterday. Fabrizio Romano has the Chicago Fire making an approach to Manchester City, to Kevin De Bruyne, among others. So Romano said deal on involving Chicago. De Bruyne assessing all options in the next days and weeks. Fire now showing strong interest with a specific project to attract KDB. If it's a GAM deal, it can't happen. There are a handful of clubs that are interested in Kevin De Bruyne. And we went through the numbers earlier this week when it was announced initially that Messi and friends were interested. And the way that it would have to be structured, it's one of those the Zlatan Ibrahimovic deals where you sign him for a low number for a half a year, and then you figure something out when it comes to your DPs and structuring your contracts and all that kind of stuff for any other seasons past that particular half season when you would be attracting folks. So here's just to give you the numbers of how much GAM is available, how much GAM would be available. They publicized the 2025 GAM, and it's a number that we're going to continue to go back to and reference. So 3 of the teams were interested, and it's no real surprise these 3. Well, Chicago is interested, but it's a big market. NYC, Chicago, and Messi and friends. Those are the 3. Those are the 3 that we know. And we'll run through some of the ones that we know and some of the ones that we don't, and run through a couple of opts, as the kids say. So here's how it would break down. Right now, as of, I want to say March the 7th, so 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, it was determined how much AM was on the table. And we'll go through the models that the teams are chasing after. Is it the 3 and 3, the 2 and 4, what have you? So, specifically from a GAM perspective, to give you an idea, and once again, this is just giving you a number. This has nothing to do with any interest at all whatsoever. To give you an example, Atlanta United right now has just over $1.1 million in 2025 GAM on the table. Chicago has just under $450,000 of GAM available. So, first and foremost, the first step would be, okay, could Kevin De Bruyne sign with Chicago for $449,000? Would he take that? It would have to be a hell of a deal in subsequent years, or a personal services contract, for Chicago to match in a GAM universe. And right now, the way that Chicago is structured, they are on the 2-4 model. They have the 2 DPs, Bamba and Kuipers. They have 1 U22 initiative slot available. So right now they're only at 2 and 3. They have a U22 slot available. They have 5 TAM players, and then everybody else is down the line. But they are of the 2. They are of the 2-4 model. They've got space. They need to, by July 1st, you have to update. Clubs have the opportunity to update their roster construction model at midseason, which can impact the amount of GAM available. Below are conditions for updating the roster construction models at midseason. So, updates must be made between July 1st and August 21st. That would fit it past the end of the Club World Cup. U22 model to DP, club must have used 1 million or less of the additional GAM and have no more than 3 U22s. So if they were to switch and go to 3 and 3, they couldn't do it because they have less than $1 million in GAM. If I'm reading this correctly, so they can't do it. Chicago physically does not have the funds, and they don't have enough funds to give them a buffer under the current structure to bring him in, unless it's just a straight TAM deal, or some kind of an AM deal, and that's it. Because he could not. It would have to be an AM deal this year, because they couldn't switch to go DP because they don't have enough GAM to do it. It would have to be a straight AM deal for Chicago this year, and the question would be, do you want to have a salary of $449,000? I would imagine Kevin De Bruyne would not, unless he's going to get offered the ish ton of money next year that he's looking for. Hey, come on, come and hang out. We'll give you like $450,000. De Bruyne cocks his head. But remember, Kevin De Bruyne negotiated his last deal at Manchester City. He negotiates his own stuff. So that's Chicago's situation. Right now, they're at 2 and 4. They have a U22 slot available, and they only have $449,707 worth of GAM available as of the end of February, March 1st. NYC has the money. NYC's got the money down. Their particular model at present is another 2-4. Dallas Magno, Thiago Martins, those are your two DPs. You've got one U22 slot available, and you've got a handful of TAM players. They're at the 2-4. Once again, they don't need to change. But the key with NYC, and this is to me what would make sense, is if you were to stay a part of the City Football Group chain, being the good soldier and all that. Right now, NYC has almost $4.25 million in AM. Has $4.25 million in GAM available. They're doing the 2-4 model. They're doing the U22 initiative model. If they wanted to change, it would be paying De Bruyne less in GAM, and they would have to, I believe, forfeit $1 million of it. So it'd be like in the neighborhood of 3. So $3 million if they flopped to 3-3, because once again they still have that space for that fourth U22 if they wanted it. Dallas Magno and Thiago Martins. So the space is there, the GAM is there for NYC. Messi and Friends are the ones that we talked about previously, and we know that Messi and Friends is a 3-3. They're not a 2-4. Messi and Friends right now 3.151, $3,151,842 So Messi and Friends currently as a 3-3, Alba, Busquets, and Messi. They couldn't do anything obviously this year, but they're a 3-3 model. They wouldn't have to forfeit $1 million in GAM if they wanted to switch or anything like that. Aviles, Redondo, Segovia right now U22s. They've got 6 TAM players. Allende, Gressel, Falcone, Lujan, David Martinez, and Luis Suarez. I don't think Messi and Friends have used their oops buyout yet. I don't think they have. So for me, they would need an international slot to cover, because right now they have 13 international slots. Alba, Allende, Aviles, Bright, Busquets, Falcone, Lujan, Martinez, Messi, Segovia, Suarez, Ustari, and Chelo Weigand. You would need at least an international slot, and you haven't used your oops buyout yet. So from a strategic standpoint, Jordan, just to let you know, if you missed it on social media, by the way, the Moxie has been canceled. We'll do it. We'll set up another time. So anybody who was looking to go to the Moxie tonight, that was the one thing that I missed. Moxie's been postponed for a later date. So you don't have to go in and dodge traffic. So Moxie's been postponed. And we'll let you know about the makeup date. So Messi and Friends would have to Messi and Friends have the most flexibility. I don't think they've used their oopsie buyout. They've got $3.1 million in GAM, and they would just need an international slot from somebody. So it's a minimal investment. And so-called Cucumber GI, you're going to get reported. So let's see. So-called Cucumber GI. Block. So as of right now, when we're looking at Kevin De Bruyne, everything's leaning toward Messi and Friends on a couple different levels. They have the financials. They have the GAM available. Viewer solicitation. Bot. Not happening. Okay. So submitted report. So right now, and I know that there was a fourth team, and I can't remember who they were. But if you're looking for folks that could swing the deal, and initially we thought it was San Diego, but San Diego's not interested. They've also got $4.25 million in GAM. They could do something if they wanted to, but they probably would go in a different direction. Probably defense. Maybe even keeper. But right now, the teams that have over 7 figures of GAM available to them to try and do a deal like this. FCD at 2.3, Houston Dynamo at 3.7, Sporting at 1.28, Messi and friends we talked about 3.1, Minnesota 3.897. They almost have 4 million in AM. CF Montreal 1.8, NYC at 4.2, Red Bulls at 1.6. I'm underselling because you don't want to go over the top on a GAM figure. Portland just over $1 million, literally like $49,000. RSL at 3.3, San Diego at 4.1, Seattle at 1.1, all caps at 2.6, Vancouver at 1.6. So that's the numbers that are there in the chase for Kevin De Bruyne. All right, last half hour. The buyout itself. I mean, De Bruyne would be a free. So Jordan, specifically, which buyout? I mean, the oopsie buyout. I don't think they've done that yet, and it doesn't count against your cap. You can just kind of sit there because everyone's a property of the league. Then that way, it's like we can buy. I don't think they've used the oopsie buyout. I don't think they have. All right, last half hour. I've dillied and dallied too much. We've gone down the Kevin De Bruyne rabbit hole. Time to go to Seattle, catch up with our buddy Nico Moreno. What up, dude?
What is going on, my guy John? SDH family, we are somewhat ready to go. I was having some issues myself. I don't know why every time I try to jump on, I have to reallow microphone and camera things to because I use my phone a lot of times, and it was giving me some hectic stuff. But I'm here. I am excited to go. Ready to talk some MLS, some numbers, some Seattle Sounders, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, all right. So I want to start. We started hour number one while you were trying to get your first cup of coffee and get everybody out to school. We spent hour number one staring at the round of 32 in Open Cup.
Oh.
And it appears the Casey Keller group has Portland traveling to Tacoma, Sacramento traveling to San Jose, and apparently the path out of the Keller group goes through Starfire. Tacoma drew the number one, and they're like, yeah, bro, we're hosting. So if Tacoma beats Portland in the round of 32 on May 6 or 7, they would host the winner of San Jose and Sacramento to get out of there to get into the round of 8. That, to me, that was one of the storylines for me, is that Tacoma is in the group of chaos as the last group announced for the round of 32.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been a ride. It almost has felt surreal. I got to be quite honest. I've watched just enough of Tacoma Defiance to somewhat know some of the players and how they got here. I was supposed to go to Starfire for that Oakland Roots game. I didn't. I did watch it on my phone. Got delayed with a couple of things. And if you've ever been to Starfire, you know that it is as hard to get in as it is to get out. So I did not make it out there. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy because there's the potential that the Tacoma Defiance team beats Portland, and I think that would be a historic occurrence. And look, this is a team with a lot of spirit, with a lot of passion. I feel like if there is something that really gets this team going, is being looked at as the underdog against the Roots. I don't know if they were necessarily the underdogs, but it certainly was a game that after they had the lead and then they concede the equalizer and you're getting into overtime, you're thinking, I know where this is going. And on top of that, you get a guy like Cody Baker sent off. And even when you do get that second goal in overtime, you're kind of waiting for the other ball to drop and find the equalizer, and it never happens. And I think it is partly because this team is very well coached. I think that they're highly motivated. There's a lot of talented players, starting with just the Rosario, who's been not just quality, but he has been a big time player for this specific team. That guy that you can count on in those big moments to get you out, to push you through. He's done that. I think that defensively, Hawkins and Bernie did a great job. Peter Kingston has been a huge storyline here in Washington. Played for LRFC, now is with Tacoma. He had that beautiful shot, a free kick that caught everybody by surprise. So this is a team that can do some damage, man. So I'm excited to see them host Astar Fire, Portland FC.
Mhm.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting how it works out with the Timbers.
Yeah, and so that was, like I said, that was one of the things that stuck with us this morning. That they kind of buried the lead a little bit. It's like, okay, so one of the more chaotic environments in all of Open Cup gets to host, and they get to possibly host to get out to the round of 8. And I just wanted I wanted to kick the door in with that this morning. All right, so the other topic before we get into Seattle and Western Conference and Major League Soccer is Kevin De Bruyne. And he's the big name that's coming across the bow, and there are a couple of teams that are interested. And I was trying to break down the financials of how it could go down, who could be interested, who financial. I mean, everybody could be interested. Look, you and I could start a team and we'd be interested in Kevin De Bruyne. That's a no-brainer. But the thing is that you got to have a certain amount of AM available. You've got to have, you've got to make sure that your roster spot is there, and you've got to make sure your international slots are all locked up. It's not just something that you can sit there and try to piece together. And it's like, I think I'll take this piece of paper and this piece of paper and piece it together and go, here, I want Kevin De Bruyne. It doesn't work that way. So, I mean,
Right.
there's a handful of clubs, and right now, I know a lot of folks are looking at NYC, which makes sense to keep him inside the City Football Group. They got plenty of AM. Messi and friends have plenty of AM. Chicago, according to Fabrizio Romano, is trying to piece together the deal of deals, but they have virtually no AM to speak of. They got like just under 450,000 GAM left. And honestly, if you want to be real base about it, where would you want to spend March? Where would you want to spend training camp in February and March? Chicago, the Bronx, or Fort Lauderdale?
I mean, if I had to pick, I'm picking Fort Lauderdale. but I don't know if it necessarily fits. I don't know if it's a need. It's a very odd one to me. When I heard Chicago, it made sense on the soccer standpoint, but then it made no sense on the economical and the measures of how to get him in there. Um, so it's a very puzzling situation with a very good player that could potentially come here, and I think it's going to be quality regardless of where he goes. I think he can still play the game at his age, and we both know that the quickest thing about De Bruyne is just his ability on the ball, his mind. He's quicker than everybody there. So I do think that he specifically needs a system that allows him to play his game in that manner. And I don't like any of the teams that you just mentioned, to be honest. Even New York City FC, that I don't know, that they at times look like they need the opposite. It's maybe a little bit more rhythm, some more amplitude with their wingers, maybe even a better, stronger, more potent striker. I mean, there's just so many things that New York City FC could use that I don't really know where he fit. I even heard somebody talk about, why don't we bring him to Seattle? Another outrageous comment. So it just, I think people a lot of times see a player and they immediately get attracted by the name, and they don't realize everything else that you always consistently think of, which is, how do we bring him in a salary cap structure, and of course the correct international slots, the DP slots. How do we work him in? I mean, those are the things that really matter. But honestly, none of the things that you just mentioned feel to me like a fit.
Yeah, well, and I mean, legitimately, I don't, and I don't think, like I said, I don't think Messi and friends have used their oopsie buyout yet. So I think the only thing that really would pin him down for the most expensive babysitter that Lionel Messi's ever had, or academy instructor Kevin De Bruyne, uh, literally it would be just okay. How do we structure the back end of the deal? You bring him in, give him a number. It's like, okay, you'll do this. You come in for half a year. I don't think, to be perfectly honest, I don't think Messi and friends really give an ish about fit. I think it's about going into sharper image. You want the vibrating rocking. You want the vibrating rocking chair. You want the lava lamp. You want the radio operated helicopter. You want the weird mobile that's got just all of the metal strings attached that do this bit. You want that when you wander into Sharper Image. You just want the entire Sharper Image store, and you don't care what to do with it. You'll figure out where to put it in the house later on. You just want to go in. You want to buy the whole store out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that could definitely be it. They're thinking longer term. They're maybe even thinking, progressively about 2-3 years from now. Like you just said, maybe coaching wise. I mean, a whole bunch of things that just give you that Jorge Mas feel, because that's what he's about. Is about the lights and the titles, talking about Inter Miami. So that could be it. Honestly, I had thought that maybe San Diego would be a team that would go after a guy like this with one of the open DP spots. But yeah, man, I just don't know if I can think immediately of a team that could use him immediately and have the money to bring him in and have the open slots to get him in. Like it seems like when I look at the teams, one has one of the things and not the other, right? It's like 4 boxes to check, and some have 2, some have 3, but none have 4.
Mm-hmm. Would you? And I mean, all I got to do when I mention an NYC is you look at that U12 pitch they play on. It's like if you're Kevin De Bruyne and you like wide open spaces and you like to create, do you want to be playing bumper cars at Yankee Stadium with I mean, that's what you're doing, man. It's like you're going to Six Flags Magic Mountain and you're playing bumper cars. No, you don't want that. You want to drive on the Autobahn, brother. That's what you're looking for. And if I'm Kevin De Bruyne, I don't want to mess with that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would not, at this particular time, not be interested to go and play for New York City FC, with all due respect, of course.
Yeah. All right. Western Conference. Looking at the week that was as we get ready for the weekend that will be. When you look at everything that went down, we'll roll through the scores and lay it all out for folks. It was from just there weren't a whole lot of goals early, and then it's like everybody woke up and it was the Western Conference where everything was scored. Nothing in the East, nothing in the East, nothing in the East. What is going on in Vancouver? It's like they're like a bunch of cyborgs, man, putting up 5 on Austin. I did not have that figured, and I also didn't have Brian White in fantasy either. Otherwise, I would have made a fortune.
I know, me too. Yeah, I looked at that and it was incredible. Look, Vancouver just they seem to know exactly where they need to get the ball, and they have players that are willing to put it all out there to get to those spots. And Brian White is a guy right now that you hear about strikers being streaky or just having moments. He's having a moment. I mean, everything he touched against Austin was going in the back of the net. He probably should have got that PK and would have got 5 goals instead of 4. I mean, look, it's literally a team that has a couple of players that are willing to play every minute of every game. I honestly did not think that Pedro Vito was going to start this game. I did not think Kubas was going to start this game. I did not think Ocampo was going to start this game. They all started. They all came off, sure, but I mean, the game was already done and over with. I think Rios has been really good for this team. I think he fits well, not only because he's doing the job about creating some of that width with his play, but he's also somebody that has a really good sense of goal, has a really good idea where he needs to be. You have a guy like Berhalter coming in, and sometimes he starts, sometimes he's off the bench. He seems to be a guy that could be a spark plug anywhere you put him. So they're just a very complete team right now. They just understand how to play the game. And Austin just tripped and tripped and tripped and tripped all game long, could not do anything. And then the one good thing that they did was a fantastic goal by Daniel Pereira that he didn't even celebrate because the game was done and over with. He just went and go ahead and ran over to the locker room. I mean, Vancouver is just that good. Highest XG, highest scoring team in the league. Watch out for the Whitecaps, man. They look good.
All right. I'm going to save Seattle and Dallas to the end because then that'll get us into the week that will be. RSL goes to Geodis on the road and loses at Nashville. Colorado had a 3-0 lead. They hung on to beat San Diego 3-2. LAG got a point. LAG got a point. Holy crap. LAG and the Dynamo drew at ones. LAFC in San Jose, I think that's under Bruce Arena. I think that Bruce and Cherundolo, that's going to be a rivalry that's going to be building. And then Portland doubles up KC, and Kerry Zavagnin continues to have the same problems that Peter Vermes did. What else happened in the West that stuck with you?
Seattle getting their first win on the road, of course. That's a big one. I think that when you look at the standings and you see a little bit of how things are playing out for RSL that continues to plummet, I think that San Diego had a really inconsistent game against Colorado. That one was a surprise for me there. That's not what broke my parlay, by the way. But we'll talk about that later because I did not take them in my fully perfectly structured parlay. But it is still what we have been talking about the last couple of weeks. Aside from Vancouver, there is no team that looks to be a juggernaut and that doesn't seem beatable. LAFC looks beatable. LAG is barely getting around. You look at a team like Austin that just got killed. I mean, it just seems that all around there's inconsistencies, and that benefits a team like Seattle that is used to starting a little bit late, that has that hierarchy to eventually figure everything out, put the puzzle together. So far, so good. It just seems like it's Vancouver and everybody else in the West.
No doubt. All right. So what happened in the Seattle match that stuck with you?
Oh, man, Masowski scoring. I mean, that's what really came out of this. Not the perfect game, not brilliant. Still lots of things to get better at for this Seattle Sounders team. But whenever you don't have a win on the road and you can get one, it doesn't matter how it comes, if it's pretty or not, you just get the win and you run home with it. And that's what they essentially did. I think this says more about FC Dallas than it does about Seattle, to be quite frank. I think FC Dallas is not a good team. They're not a bad team either. They're just mid. And they have been able to get results because of their defense, because they make things kind of slow and difficult. And in this one, Seattle, man, had a lot of opportunities, and they could have probably put a couple more on this Dallas team. In terms of Seattle, Ferreira had a better game, not a great game. Clearly, the importance of getting another, or yes, another clean sheet is important. This is a team that's always taken pride in that defensive ability. So I think the fact that they do that in this one helps that confidence moving forward. But it's all about what's going to continue to happen. I asked Brian Spencer this week. He sounds like Albert Rusnak, Jordan Morris, and Alex Roldan, who all had knocked, will be available for this one. Don't know if they'll start, but those are all good news going into the next week. But overall, I think Seattle still doesn't quite know what the best grouping is, but getting a win while you're still trying to figure that out is all you can ask for at this time.
All right. You know what time it is. It's time to dial it up and figure out what is on your mind when it comes to the weekend that will be. and we got some odd start times and things like that that'll have us on the hot when it comes to filling out our fantasy team. It's a 1:45 Eastern kick, and it's the first match of the weekend, and that is Austin FC at home hosting LAG. Under normal circumstances, I'd sit there and I'd be like, "Yeah, this one's gonna be wild and crazy." But right now, LAG is almost a plus 300. Austin is minus 118. But Austin ain't scoring any goals. All this money that they've spent on dudes, and you're not getting return on your investment.
Yeah, I think that the problem with the LA Galaxy right now is that Yoshida's out. You got another defender out because of the red card. I guess if there are good news is that Marco Royce should be available. It sounds like Greg Vanny said that he's been all in practice this week. So how does that, hopefully help you out? So there is some things that make you want to go LAG. Not good enough for me. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole, but definitely a game that would be interesting depending on how it essentially plays out. But I'm with you. I don't trust Austin to score. I don't trust them to be a consistent team. And LAG just seems to be a team that has a whole bunch of talent, hasn't been able to put it together. But Greg Vanny, I got to give him credit. He looks so confident, so on the ball. It seems like he knows what he has, and I think he'll eventually figure it out. This one could be a momentum shifter for LAG. I'll say that if they're able to get a good win or just a win in general, I think that could potentially spark their season in the right direction.
All right. So are you going to just be watching when Messi and friends go to Columbus, or are you going to be watching more intently than normal?
I'm going to be watching more intently. I want you to tell me what the goal compost is for that specific game. That's where I'm looking at. Look, Columbus, although they don't have the finishing product and the punch that they had with Christian Ramirez and Cucho Hernandez for obvious reasons, they're still a team that gets forward pretty well. But defensively, they have not been as sharp. I mean, you look at that game against San Luis City, and look, Schulte was big because San Luis City had plenty of opportunities to put that game away, and they were unable to do that. I expect it to be against Inter Miami a similar sense where Columbus is going all out. They're working in transition. They're getting a lot of numbers forward. But at the same time, they're probably going to take a lot of heat from this Inter Miami team. So what's the compost on the goals?
3.5 is a plus 130. That's where it flips.
Please, give me four. What's four? 4.5.
Well, let's see. 4.5 is a plus 302.
Wow. Yeah, it might be a little bit much. Could be a little bit too rich for my blood, but maybe I think that this one could have a lot of goals, and I think that this one could be one of those games where it's the first half and perhaps it's already 2-2. So Inter Miami themselves, they've had some issues holding on to teams and really managing games. So hey, I think this one could be a high scoring fiesta, but I really don't know who would win. So I would take the goals and not pick a winner in this one.
All right. So your first half goals plus 1.5, plus 126. 2.5 in first half goals is a plus 402, by the way.
Oof, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So the other 730s that we have include the two matches that we're going to end up talking about at the end. So we'll hang on to those. We'll hang on to those two 730s that will be the two last ones that we discussed. But the other activity going on, CF Montreal and Orlando City Purple Team re-signed Oscar Pareja for another 3 years. Charlotte's going to host San Diego FC, Revs and NYC, Red Bulls DC United. A lot of that stuff, man, that's 90 minutes of your life that you take at your own peril. Chicago and Cincinnati, Houston and Colorado, Minnesota and FCD. St. Louis City hosting Vancouver. Vancouver is a road dog at a plus 193.
Ooh. Wow, that's going to be an interesting matchup because look, like I said, St. Louis looked good. I think that Pompeu had a good game offensively, not so much defensively. I think Klaus finally breaking his streak of like 350 minutes without a goal. It's big for that team. Batcher had a good game. I think that they really have something going that they're in St. Louis. aside from the terrible wardrobe choice by their head coach. But I really do think that they have something going on. This would be an interesting one, but I see that as a draw. I see that as a game where both teams are going to take a long time to really decipher themselves, and by the time they're ready to go, it's 90 minutes. So I can see this one being just a very low draw in this one.
Plus 252 on the draw.
Oh yeah, I like that.
All right.
Absolutely.
RSL hosting Toronto. Watch at your own peril. Portland hosting LAFC. Portland is favored at a plus 140.
This is a good one.
LAFC is a plus 181. Your draw is a plus 245.
This is a good one, man. At Portland, LAFC is always a great matchup. It's always high scoring, and just my early recollection, I could see LAFC getting a good win against a pretty good Portland team, at least offensively. That Sporting Kansas City game kind of showed you a little bit about what Portland's about. They're still having some issues at controlling the game at midfield. I think that a lot of times they're very gappy, and if there's something that LAFC can do, is beat you between those hashes, between those gaps. So I think that LAFC Portland is going to be a good one. What's the 3.5 in this one for goals? But I'm taking LAFC and I'm taking some goals.
All right.
Potential.
Let's get the 3.5 on the board here for the total. 3.5 is a plus 168.
Ooh, how about 4.5?
4.5 is a plus 388.
Look, I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna take that, and I'm gonna take LAFC. This one's gonna be a high score. I don't know why these two games always seem to have that. I should have put that same number in the Sporting Kansas City Portland game, and I didn't. I'm gonna go with this one. I'm not gonna miss my chance at this one. I'm taking that.
All right, and San Jose is a minus 112 hosting Sporting, and Kerry Z's second match as interim head coach. Okay, Seattle, Nashville. Back to 7:30 Eastern time, 7:40 kick. Seattle a minus 141. Nashville's a plus 386. Draws a plus 266. Is this a get right for Seattle?
I think it's a get right draw. Okay. I like the 266. I think they'll have a good game. I think it's going to be quality. But as much as I think that Nashville plays to Seattle's strengths, I think that Seattle has a very good idea on how to play the Mukhtar types, the exact same way they were able to play the Luciano Costa types. Same as Surridge, the type of forward striker, physical, the positioning that he needs on the ball. I feel like it plays to Seattle's strengths. But I don't know about the Sounders attack just yet. Like I said, Jordan Morris, I'm guessing he's probably going to come off the bench. He was partially in training on Tuesday, was full on yesterday. I'm guessing he'll be full on today. Albert Rusnak as well. That was interesting one because he had an adductor. I thought he'd be out a little bit longer, but he's back on. But I'm guessing all those guys are going to be coming off the bench. So how does Masovsky is able to resolve some of those issues? He got a goal, and that's, essentially give you the confidence to now score a couple more. I'm just not sure. I'm really not sure. I think Pedro de la Vega has been outstanding. I think it's going to be him and Ferreira playing under the 9 in this one particularly. But I just don't know if it's enough to get over the hump that Nashville will be. Because this is a quality team. Look, BJ Callahan has done a very good job at structuring a good team with the ball. They want to keep possession. They know what to do it. They play bare halter ball. They really do. So they do a good job at it. I was surprised that they were fourth in XG in MLS. But, you go back, you look at some of those games, they do create a lot of opportunities. They put a lot of balls in the 18. So this is going to be a fun one, but I'm going to go with the draw.
All right, and so we're saving Atlanta and Philly for you for last. Philly, plus 106. Atlanta's a plus 229. Draws a plus 264. What do you think?
I am so upset at Atlanta. I had a perfect
You ain't the only one, brother. I'll tell you that right now.
I had a perfect parlay, bro. Look, we called the tie, the draw between Chicago and Inter Miami. We called the Cincinnati. We called Seattle's win. I mean, it was so perfect. I had 5 games. The only one that missed was Atlanta.
Wow.
Was Atlanta, and I could not believe it that they were able to just honestly blow that game. Look, they started so good. They man, it's so hard to watch Almiron and Lot create so much offense and create so many opportunities. I love what Lennon was doing all game long with the balls he was putting in, the way he was getting forward. Marinchuk himself was, doing some creativeness and getting some shots in, but he felt like after Almiron's goal gets uh, called off because of a supposed, offside,
Oh yeah, don't get us started on that. That's another
it,
rabbit hole.
it all went downhill. So can they get it together? Philadelphia doesn't look great either. I thought that they looked awful against New York City FC this past weekend. It seems like they downgraded from Gazdag to um, Indiana Vasilev, and the team just doesn't have any power up top. They kind of wake up at the end of that game, but I feel like this is going to be a draw. It's going to be a draw. It's not going to make anybody happy. Atlanta fans are going to be upset. Philadelphia fans are going to be upset. I'm going to be upset. That's why I'm not touching it, because whenever you burn me like that, I need a week. I need a week off. But I think this is going to be a draw.
You need some time. I
I
need.
need some time.
It's not you. It's me. That's basically.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not you. It's me. All right. What's going on at Pulso Sports and at Sounder Heart when you're lobbing water balloons at folks?
Yeah, we got a really good week of, uh, several good interviews with Christian Roldan, with Brian Smetzer. Brian talks about a variety of things that are very interesting moving forward. One of the big news this week is that Jackson Reagan will be out 4 to 6 weeks, but Kim Ki-hee, a experienced older center back, has looked really good all week long. And so we talked to Brian about some of those options to replace um, Jackson Reagan there, Jay Bell himself. So go ahead and check that out. We also have two exclusives in Spanish, one with Yamar Gomez Andrade, one with Obed Vargas. Yamar talks a little bit about his desire to be in the MLS All-Star game.
Oh.
He says he's not, not a main objective, not something that he's gonna be thinking out all, month long, but he does kind of want the chance to be there, with some of the best in MLS. So that was interesting. So go ahead and check that out. And of course, Lovin Scorchers on Monday, Lovin Scorchers kickoff. We will not have what we learned this week with Jeremiah tomorrow because my guy is taking some time off. He's in Mexico. Uh,
Not
but I
allowed.
am not allowed. But I am going to have a open space at 5 p.m. Pacific today. I already have it scheduled in. So if you guys want to come in, talk whatever you want. We don't have to talk Sounders. We can talk Atlanta. We can talk juice boxes, whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to do an X space at 5 p.m. Pacific today.
Boy, 8 o'clock Eastern and 5 o'clock. It's Spaces with Niko. As always, my friend, great to see you. Love you very much. Be safe. Have a fantastic weekend. We will catch up with you next week.
You're the man, my man. Take it easy.
All right, there goes Nico Moreno, and he's going to go lob some water balloons and spray some scorchers and go to Providence and Swedish Bouncy and Funhouse and a bunch of all points in between. So it's always great to catch up with Nico to get his thoughts from the Pacific perspective on what's going on with Major League Soccer. Okay, so tonight. The only thing missing is Phil Collins. 5:30, 7:30 from Chapel Harmon. It is Southeast Whitfield and the Dalton Catamounts. Girls will start things off at 5:30, and I'm trying to encourage Maddie to see. Now, look, for me to encourage Maddie to have the elote when she gets on to, to get on to the stadium grounds, that's really saying something. So go and have the elote tonight. If you're in Northwest Georgia, we will be there. Southeast and Dalton, 5:30 and 7:30. Maddie and Jason will be there for that. Tomorrow, Battle for the Troops at McIntosh. Stars Mill and McIntosh will be down there for that. That is Friday night, and that ends our regular season. Next week is the playoffs in the GHSA. That's when all of that starts, and we'll have that wall-to-wall for you starting next week. So tonight, Southeast Whitfield and Dalton. Tomorrow, Stars Mill and McIntosh. Traditionally heated, traditionally chippy, but it's always fun to be there for both of those. So that's the rundown of our high school action. Tomorrow, if we can track down the round of 32 bound Rhode Island FC's Michael Parkhurst, or if we can catch up with Greg Garza, and if you've been following Greg on social media, he is traveling. we can catch up with either one of them at 9:30 for Beyond Goals Mentoring's Friday Free Kick. We will do exactly that. 10 o'clock, Kevin Egan's going to join us tomorrow, and we'll talk everything from MLS 360 to whatever else is on Kevin's mind. We might even talk about his boy Sheamus as he gets ready for WrestleMania 41 with whatever Sheamus is doing, and talk about Atlanta United and find out what's going on in Kevin's mind. He's going to join us at 10. Jason and or Maddie and or the cast of thousands should be joining us. Beyond there, the entire show is probably going to evolve into Weekend Whip Around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later. So, soccer tonight on the network at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com and the Mixlr app, or go to soccerdownhere.net, hit the listen tab. And when there is one of our channels is up and running, there's like a beacon that's going, and there's like a shining, flashing light. Then you hit that, and that's the game that we have going on. That's tonight. Tomorrow morning, 9:05, Weekend Whip Around, Friday Free Kick, all the things. Kevin Egan at 10, Jason 10:30. Maddie's probably going to be in there if her phone doesn't overheat. And so we'll get you ready for the weekend with Atlanta United and Philadelphia as well. And then Stars Mill, Macintosh. Maddie and I will be in Peachtree City for that, since Jason is traveling to Philadelphia, for the matchup with Atlanta United and Philadelphia Union. Announcement coming from the Twos. The Twos and MLS Next Pro have announced a schedule change for the home match that was originally scheduled for June 8. It was supposed to be June 8 at 7:30 against NYC 2. Now it has been shifted to Friday, June 6 at 4 o'clock. So they moved it to Friday afternoon, June 6 at 4 o'clock. Tickets are going to be the same. All tickets purchased for the original kickoff date valid for the June 6 date. So it goes from June 8 at 7:30 at the Fraction to June 6, 4 o'clock at the Fraction. That's Atlanta United and NYC 2. And that was announced just a little bit ago. Okay, that's your Thursday. We went through the Open Cup. Chaos goes through Tacoma. They saved the last group of chaos for last. So it's going to be fun down to the round of 32. And we'll check in on folks and see how things are. Once again, May 6 and 7 is the round of 32. 2 weeks later, it's the round of 16. But some interesting hosting situations. And Tacoma might be the most interesting of them all. Back at it again at 9:05 tomorrow morning to take you through and get you ready for the weekend. We're getting ready with all the notes and all the prep for Jason and Maddie to head north to Chapel Harmon to take on for Southeast Whitfield and the Dalton Catamounts. It's always great to go up there and catch up with everybody in that environment. Coach Almoldova and Matt Cheeves, two of the great gentlemen in the game. Great venue, fantastic area for soccer up in Northwest Georgia, and it's been great to be able to show that off to the rest of the state and to the rest of the SDH audience, as much as they let us come up and crash. So that's it for the show. Since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Mucha Platiel, play it safe, and we'll be back at it again 9:05 in the morning. Remember, 5:25 start for the activity involving Southeast Whitfield and Dalton here on the SDH Network. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you at 5:30. We'll see you back here for SDH.